Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a pretty fascinating system called the AP framework. It's really a unique way of looking at, well, the human condition. So, have you ever had that feeling? Like you're just endlessly running on a treadmill, but you're not actually getting anywhere? I think a lot of us feel that. It's this constant restlessness, right? No matter what you achieve in your job, your relationships, even your own personal growth, it feels like there's always something else to do, another problem to solve. And that feeling of satisfaction, it just never sticks around for long. And this is exactly where the AP framework starts. It doesn't begin with some abstract, high-level theory about the universe. Nope, it starts with something we all know, that feeling. That simple, universal experience that no matter what you accomplish, it never permanently solves that feeling of being, well, a little bit dissatisfied. So it poses this pretty radical question. What if the issue isn't about the quality of our efforts? What if it's not about working harder or being smarter? What if we're all just running as fast as we can, but in completely the wrong direction? Okay, so to really get why we might be going in the wrong direction, we have to talk about the absolute core concept of this framework, and that is the ego. But hold on, because it's probably not what you're thinking of when you hear that word. See, when this framework talks about the ego, it's not talking about arrogance or having a big head. It's way, way more fundamental than that. The ego is just that felt sense of I am something. It's the I am a teacher, I am a good friend, I am a spiritual person, I am a failure. Whatever X you attach to I am, that's the ego. It's the very foundation of our personal identity that we build everything on top of. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the framework makes this crucial distinction. It says, think of your mind, your intellect, your memory, as just a tool. It's like a powerful but totally neutral computer. It's innocent. The ego, though, the ego is the user. It's the operator sitting at the keyboard telling the computer what to do. It's the one driving all our desires, all our fears, and ultimately all our suffering. So the mind doesn't need to be liberated. It's the ego that's really running the show. All right, so how do we visualize all this? Well, the framework gives us a fantastic metaphor to help us see where all our energy goes. It's called the two axes of life. First up, you've got the horizontal axis, and this is pretty much where we live our entire lives. It's all about change in the world, moving from point A to point B. And this covers, well, just about everything we think of as progress, right? Making more money, learning a new language, getting more spiritual, meditating more, even expanding a business. It's all horizontal movement. You're just moving along a flat plane. You could spend your whole life sprinting on this axis and cover a huge amount of ground, but you never actually gain any altitude. And this gets to the heart of the problem. The framework says the biggest lie we've ever told ourselves can be summed up in this little formula. We believe that if we just do enough stuff on the horizontal axis, the X and the Z, we'll somehow get Y, which is freedom. But it's a lie. The framework is really clear on this. No amount of running faster or farther on the ground is ever going to make you fly. So, if the horizontal axis is a dead end for true freedom, what's the alternative? Well, it's the vertical axis. And this is totally different. This isn't about adding anything. It's not about getting more money or more knowledge or even more spiritual points. It's about a fundamental shift inside. It's movement away from that ego. It's freedom from the self, not some new achievement for the self. Okay, so this is the big question, right? If running forward doesn't work, how on earth do you move up? How do you actually get some of that vertical lift? Well, the framework gives us a pretty clear two-step process. Step one is seeing, and this means just honestly looking at your own ego operating without jumping in to justify it or explain it away. Just raw, direct observation. And step two is intent. This is the active, conscious choice, renewed again and again, to move away from that ego's need to preserve itself. The key is you need both. Seeing without intent is passive, and intent without seeing is just flailing in the dark. Now, it's really, really important to get this next bit. This intent we're talking about, it is not the same thing as willpower. Think about it. Willpower is the ego fighting against a symptom, right? Like quitting a bad habit. You're fighting the behavior. But the ego, the thing that created the problem in the first place, is still there, maybe even feeling stronger because it won a battle. Intent is totally different. It's way more radical. It's the ego turning on its own basic programming of self-preservation. It's the only fight that actually leads to moving up, not just forward. So this all leads to a pretty obvious question. If you're on this vertical path, where does it end? What's the destination? I mean, naturally, you'd think the goal is some final, ultimate state, right? You get to the top of the mountain, you reach enlightenment, the work is over, and the ego is just gone, poof. But this is where the framework drops a bombshell, and it's based on just pure, cold logic. It says, nope, a permanent, final state of enlightenment is structurally impossible while you're still alive. And the reason why is actually kind of simple and brilliant. Think about it. Who is it that would stand up and declare, I have achieved enlightenment? Well, that I is the ego. The ego can't issue its own death certificate because the one holding the pen is the ego. The very act of claiming it proves you're not there. So where does that leave us? What's the big takeaway here? It's a total shift in how we think about the whole thing. Liberation isn't a destination you can check into. It's a direction you constantly orient yourself towards every single day. And that journey, that continuous, honest, sometimes really hard process of choosing to let go of the self instead of protecting it, the framework has a word for that journey. It calls it love, the journey itself. That's the whole point.